Hello, good morning and welcome to this edition of the newspaper show right here on ET Now. I'm Cheryl D'Souza and I'll take you through the top stories as there in the Economic Times as well as the Times of India. So let's get going with the top 10 headlines that's there in the Economic Times this morning. And first up, SEBI mulls faster settlement for stock trades. Moving on to e-commerce, that is Amazon and Flipkart expect big jump in festive sales. Samsung may move part of the phone production to India. 16 million new debit cards issued during the lockdown. Canteen store sales half during the lockdown. You have RBI board ponders over forex reserves and gold buy. Google in talks to invest in Sharechat. Pandemic may hit India's growth, that's the word coming in from Birla. New measures in place for the Parliament session. And Prime Minister's Independence Day message, Make in India for the world. All right, and those are the top 10 headlines that's there in the Economic Times. But let me get you the top market headlines that's there in the ET. And first up, Berkshire makes a bet on gold market. Foreign banks to seek more time or concessions. 6 of 10 top valued companies shed over 78,000 market cap, 78,000 crore market cap. Non-COVID health claims rise in July and August. And SFIO and SEBI may probe 3 lenders to CG Power. All right, from market now on to the corporate headlines then. Amazon stake, key point in Reliance retail future talks. Tata Realty plans to expand office portfolio. IDBI rejects Mauritius investors' revised EPC offer. Grinco leads race to buy NEC Energy. And Indospace leads race to buy Embassy Industrials. All right, and let's get going with the top story that's there in the Economic Times this morning. And this is the story that my colleague Jayesh will be joining in to talk about. And that is SEBI mulls faster settlement for stock trades. T+1 cycle is on the cards. I'll bring on board my colleague Jayesh to talk more on the story. Jayesh, good morning. SEBI is mulling faster settlement for stock trades. And why is this so?
Good morning, Cheryl. That's rightly mentioned. The Securities and Exchange Board of India is actually considering a reduction in the settlement cycle for the completion of the share transactions from T+2 days to T+1 days. Now, just to clarify for all our viewers, T+1 and T+2 are abbreviations for trade plus 1 day and trade plus 2 day. Now, this move was actually implemented, which is expected to improve the liquidity. It will also boost the efficiency and reduce the risk to the existing system that we have. Also important to note that, majority of the developed markets that we have, they follow a T+2 trade settlement system. India, however, had moved from T+3 17 years ago to T+2. So we are currently in line with what the majority of the developed markets like the US, UK and Canada actually follow. But this move will actually make us one of the first countries in the world to have a T+1 system. What the brokers are actually saying is that the new norms on the upfront margins and the recent change in the transfer of shares held by the offline accounts have actually, made this possible that T+1 settlement could actually be seriously looked at and implemented. However, there's one negative side that I'm picking up, saying that, the shorter time cycle may actually require the FBI custodial systems, to change because of the time difference between two countries. So, that could be a challenge as far as admin-related work is concerned. So that is something we will actually wait and watch if there is any feedback from the foreign investors.
Thank you for taking us through that story. Let's get a move on and let's talk about another story that's there in the Economic Times front page. And this is a story that I'm going to talk about. And that is Amazon and Flipkart. They're expecting a big jump in the festive sales. India's two biggest e-commerce marketplace, Amazon and Walmart own Flipkart, expect this year's festival sale season business in smartphones, television sets, refrigerators, washing machines and apparels to nearly double for some categories and increase at least 40% in others. That's what the top executives have told Economic Times. The platforms have accordingly actually asked the sellers to place large orders with the respective brands. The 5 executives who are aware of the knowledge are saying that the projections are said that the 2 companies expect consumers will increasingly do their festive season shopping online. Due to the pandemic, a trend has been evident is evident in the success of recently concluded sales that Amazon and Flipkart both had. So they've gone ahead and asked the sellers to actually go ahead and place they've actually placed larger orders with the sellers with a hope that there'll be a rapid rise in the festive sale. That's both Amazon as well as Flipkart. Let me move on now to Samsung. Samsung is likely to move the part production of their smartphones in India. On how much of that amount are they going to move into India? My colleague Pankaj is here with that story. Pankaj, good morning. Interesting piece coming in on the page 1 of Economic Times. The Samsung is actually likely to move part of the smartphone production in India, to India rather.
Right, that's of course one of the interesting manufacturing stories that we are picking up, that Samsung is planning to make devices worth about $40 billion in the next 5 years. This is aided, of course, by the manufacturing stops that have been declared. When we talk about Samsung, a good part of their smartphone production is in Vietnam as well as other countries right now. That is expected to move to India over a period of time. Why this will happen is with the South Korean electronic major is finalizing the plan to produce devices worth 3 lakh crores, which is close to about $40 billion. That's what people with sources have indicated to the Economic Times. Samsung is likely to diversify its production line to make smartphones to India. This will be under the Production Link Incentive Scheme, or the PLAI scheme as they are calling it. And this will have an impact on the existing capability across countries like Vietnam. So that's what we are picking up. I think it was Apple earlier and now it's Samsung. And we're getting some news flow that they have some internal targets of shifting goods worth about $40 billion over the next 5 years. Majority of them will be on the smartphone side.
All right, Pankaj, thank you for taking us through that story. And page 10 now, on to the Economic Times page 10. And this is the story that I'm going to talk about. And that is Google is in talks with Sharechat as Bangalore company is scouting for $150 to $200 million. So Google is in talks with Sharechat for investing in the company. That's as per sources to Economic Times. Sharechat is looking to raise $150 to $200 million and is holding discussions with investors and technology companies as it prepares to battle it out with over a dozen rivals to fill in the gap that is left by TikTok and Hello applications. JP Morgan is advising the company in fundraising. Also, Sharechat owns a regional language social media platform that competed with ByteDance, recently banned Hello, and a new short video application, Moj, which was recently released soon after TikTok's exit from the market. A process is on to raise funds, and we have reached out to funds as well as strategic investors like Google. The talks are still at preliminary stage and will take time to conclude. This is as per one of the sources to Economic Times. Also, they are saying, and this is the story, that Sharechat wants to raise $150 to $200 million and also said to be in talks with Google. Fundraising talks, social media firm holding discussion with investors and technology companies, and talks are said to be in preliminary stage. JP Morgan is advising the company to raise the funds. So that's an interesting story to watch out for when it comes to the place of short video applications like Sharechat. Let's shift focus now onto page 1 story. And should RBI reserves add more gold? That is the question that RBI board is contemplating on. So RBI board ponders of forex reserves and gold buying. To talk more on this story, I'm joined by my colleague Poonam. Poonam, very interesting story that the Reserve Bank of India has been pondering over amassing foreign reserves and gold reserves. So take us through the story and why is RBI pondering over it?
Well, good morning, Cheryl. Yes, indeed. If you look at what RBI has been doing so far, Cheryl, they have been buying dollars. And if you look at the forex reserves, we have some of the record forex reserves right now, over $500 billion. And this is exactly what was discussed in the board meeting, that should RBI continue to build its war chest of forex reserves, or should we now look into more allocation in favor of gold? In fact, some of the board members were of the view that RBI probably has now created adequate forex cover, and the cost of buying more dollars may outweigh the gains from an overflowing reserves chest. A few members also felt there was probably a need to diversify the allocation of reserves more in favor of gold. This is what our reporters have learned. If you look at the forex reserves have now touched $538 billion as on 7th August, and this is up nearly around $80.7 billion since the beginning of 2020 itself. This is one of the fastest growth that we have seen in the forex reserves since the meltdown that we did see earlier. In fact, if you look at the forex reserves, the importance of the forex reserves, it helps reflect as a war chest, and it's like a necessary insurance cover against a contagion that could happen anytime because of the uncertainty that we are seeing across the world. In fact, RBI has been buying dollars to support the export amidst slowdown during the COVID-19. Also, if you look at the amount of cover, we now have nearly around 15-month import cover as against a below 12-month cover in the pre-COVID period. Some of the advocates of sustained dollar buying argue that in India's current account surplus is a temporary phenomenon caused by lower oil prices and plunge in gold and capital goods import. Calculation of a comfortable forex reserve should hence factor in short-term foreign debts and possibly hot money. They would argue that even though RBI's earnings from forex assets may have slipped, the cost of sterilizing the liquidity is still manageable. If you look at the Bank of America economics, Mr. Indranil Sengupta, he says that RBI may persist with buying forex reserves if the USD weakens and allow depreciation if it strengthens. Besides that, if we look at the overall parameters, we have also seen that in coming days, markets a surge in gold prices and small purchase by the central bank has also resulted in the share of gold value in reserves, which has risen to 7% now. So yes, RBI may possibly look at diversifying its buying right now, but as of now, the favor is still buying more of dollars.
All right, thank you, Poonam, for taking us through that story. On to now PET markets page, and there's a story on how Berkshire has made a bet on a gold market that Buffett once had mocked. So Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has added Barrick Gold Corporation to its portfolio in the second quarter, sending the shares of Barrick to surging. In trade, Berkshire took a new position, Barrick, buying 20.9 million shares or 1.2% of the company's outstanding stock with a current market value of $565 million. This is as per the regulatory filing on Friday. That's mentioning that Berkshire has picked up stake in Barrick Corp. The filing also shows that the moves made by Buffett or his two investing deputies, that is Todd Combs or Ted Weschler. The jump in gold prices has boosted actually investors willing to pump actually billions into the gold industry. So there you go. You have Berkshire that's making a bet on gold that was once mocked by Warren Buffett himself. Now let's shift focus onto a story that's there on the page 6, and that is about Grinco that's looking to buy NEC's US battery unit. It's $300 to $400 million buyout plan. So what is this all about? To talk more on the story, I'm joined by my colleague Vivek. Vivek, take us through this story. Grinco is looking to buy NEC's US battery unit.
Well, good morning. This appears to be a very important and a significant development as far as the entire battery making or the renewable energy space, and especially when you're talking about battery installation, which is now in focus on the back of a lot of electric vehicle developments that have happened across the globe. So you're talking about one of the unlisted companies, Grinco, which is backed by Singapore's GIC as well as ADIA, that is Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. So according to the news report from ET, what they are reporting is that the company is looking to acquire and has emerged as the front runner for the acquisition of a US-based battery installer, NEC Energy Solutions. And as you rightly mentioned, the enterprise valuation of this particular deal is set to be in the range of $300 to $400 million. This will be one of the first cross-border acquisitions for the Hyderabad-based company. And, one of the other bidders was Tesla as well, who are pretty much in the similar space. However, what you're looking at this point of time is that, number one, how does this aid Greenco's clean energy bid or clean energy foray, given the fact that prices across the globe in this particular space have plummeted quite significantly. You also have to keep an eye out for how exactly a lot of other valuations for global mergers as well as acquisitions in this particular space have played out. And again, this is something you need to keep an eye out for. But overall, it looks as though this Indian-based, Hyderabad-based company is all set to buy NEC's battery unit.
All right, and that is an important story like Vivek mentioned in the clean energy space. Let's shift focus now onto a story that's there in the page 9 of Economic Times, and this is about Labour Code empowers states to change laws. The centre's nod moves back labour reforms introduced by Gujarat MP and Uttar Pradesh. So states will be able to introduce significant changes to their labour law framework, such as allowing retrenchment of workers without a legislative amendment under the proposed labour codes. The centre has rejected a key recommendation of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour on this in its report on the Code on Industrial Relations. So the top government officials have told Economic Times that the Labour Ministry would soon move cabinet notes seeking approvals for the two labour codes, that's industrial relations and occupational safety. The Labour Ministry has already sent the revised drafts with changes to the Law Ministry for vetting. So a huge move that is actually coming in, and this move comes as a huge backing for labour reforms introduced by states including Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. So a big move coming in the labour code that's empowering the states to change the laws. The government official has told that the Labour Ministry would soon move cabinet notes on this, and actually it's already sent the revised draft for vetting to the Law Ministry. So important development that we need to watch out for. Let's shift focus now onto taxpayers. That's the clarification that came yesterday from the Finance Ministry, and page 9 is where you will find this also story. Taxpayers need not disclose high-value transactions in the ITR. Only third parties will have to report such transactions in the income to the income tax department. So the taxpayers would not need to mention their high-value transactions in their income tax returns, as the officials have said. They said, but the broadening the scope of reporting financial transactions, the third parties have become vital as we've moved to faceless taxation, faceless scrutiny of taxes. Also, officials said that the broadening, like I mentioned, of scope of reporting financial transactions by third party had become vital since taxations was moving towards a faceless approach. They're saying that there is no such proposal actually to modify income tax returns. A finance ministry official said that in response to the reports on expansion of statement of financial transactions requiring taxpayers to provide the details of the income tax return. So that is what the clarification is coming in from Finance Ministry, that taxpayers will not need to disclose high value transactions in their income tax returns forms. So this is another story that we need to watch out for. Let's shift focus now onto a story that's there in the Times of India, that's there on the Times of India page 13. Lenders, including SBI, are actually working on restructuring options for home loans where the overall tenure of the loan does not extend by more than 2 years, even after relaxing the repayment schedule. So my colleague Poonam is here to take us through this story. Poonam, take us through this story that's saying the banks plan EMI deferment for home loan restructuring.
That is right, Shreya. In fact, you mentioned it right, that the lenders, including State Bank of India, are working on restructuring options for home loans, wherein the overall tenure itself of the loan will not extend more than 2 years, and this would be even after a repayment schedule has been relaxed. The options are including allowing an EMI deferment for a few months in cases where the borrowers have suffered total loss of income, or even there is a lower payout for a couple of years in their salary. Now, if we are looking at the overall details, according to the sources, the KV Kamath Committee will not look into retail and home loan restructuring, and banks will be allowed to drop their own proposal, which they will be submitting into the board to just get an idea in terms of the number of borrowers who are facing stress. Bankers are keen, in fact, Cheryl, to allow restructuring of loans in order to avoid classifying these defaulters as NPAs, because otherwise they will have to set higher provisions. Also, bankers say that this isn't the right time to enforce security in attached assets. Though RBI has let banks extend tenure by 2 years, bankers say that they cannot provide a 2-year moratorium. So this is an important thing. In fact, recast or restructuring of loans may not get the best rate also, Cheryl, because if you look at the home loan rates right now, they are below 7%. And once the bankers restructure, it involves or attracts additional provision of 10% on the restructured assets, which increases the cost by somewhere around 30 odd bips. Also, if we look at the overall news, according to the terms of the reference RBI's appointment, the Kamath Committee is also expected to submit its report by mid-September. So net, yes, quite a few of the borrowers may be allowed to restructure their home loans, and it will also not increase their tenure by more than 2 years.
All right, thank you, Poonam, for that story. Let's move on to another story that's there in the page 13 of Times of India, and this is the story my colleague Vinny will be joining in to talk about in moments from now. Reliance Industries may buy Urban Ladder milk basket to boost e-tail. Talks on with e-pharmacy Netmeds, lingerie company Zivame too. So, Vinny, good morning. And a whole host of e-tailers that Reliance Industries is looking to buy out. So take us through the details of the story.
That's absolutely right, Cheryl. Whole host. They've continued their shopping spree, seems like it. So, talking about this now, we know future retail dealers already, they are in talks with that. They're expanding the retail side. Now, by acquiring Urban Ladder, which is a furniture brand, that also further establishes, Reliance in the furniture brand and supply chain with offline stores, and this will surely promote the company's business, as they are already in ties with Pottery Barn of US as well. So surely this is moving towards that furniture side of the business as well. So that's a quite positive sign. They're further expanding more. Talking about Milk Basket. Now, Milk Basket is also something that will help the company's GeoMart grocery delivery, and it further builds their customer even over there. So if they do finally get into these two companies, they do acquire these two companies, that will be quite beneficial for the company. And we already know that, they were in talks with Zivame, which came a couple of weeks back, and the news that they were in talks with Zivame, the lingerie brand, as well as e-pharmacy Netmeds. So that is very interesting to see how Reliance actually starting off as a textile company, moving on to OMC, and now it's actually making its space on the retail side and making its firm footprint over there on the retail side, as well as, expanding its digital side as well. So it will be interesting to see how these deals actually pan out and what actually goes into the Reliance basket after its shopping spree.
All right, thank you, Vinny, for taking us through that story. Let's shift focus to another story, page 13 of Times of India. Work from home may feel lighter on your pockets now without the cost of daily commute or leisure travel, but you may have to shell out more on your tax liability later in the current financial year. As professionals work from home, salary components such as conveyance allowances can no longer be tax-free, and given the spread of the pandemic, one may also not be able to take a vacation and also claim LTA. So this is a big story that's coming in for most of the salaried class people. Let's shift focus now on to a interesting day today on ET Now. Your Monday morning insights. You have to stay tuned for a whole host of big market voices that is lined up for you right here on ET Now. So start your week with the trio of the top market voices masterclass with Ramdev Agarwal, that is ET Now's today's special, and the street power couple Shankar Sharma and Devina Mehra, that's an ET Now exclusive. So stay tuned for these exclusive interviews all through the day. All right, now let me shift focus on to the top 5 headlines as they're in the Times of India. And first up, banks plan EMI deferment for home loan recast. You have Reliance Industries may buy Urban Ladder Milk Basket. UK halls Birla talks with JLR Tata Steel. This is as per reports. Retired Dhoni remains high scorer for brands. And weekly COVID-19 cases in India hit a new high. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the newspaper show. Thank you for watching.